vote. What does this mean to you? Have you ever voted? Are you registered? What does it really mean to vote? And how can it affect issues that mean something to you? All of these questions are important to consider. Whether you're an experienced voter or are registering to vote for the first time, your involvement matters. Let's take a closer look. Welcome, senior class of 2020. What an important and life-changing year for you. Not only will you graduate, but you will also be turning 18. This, of course, means you've gained the right and privilege to vote on the candidates and issues that matter to you. The League of Women Voters and the Driftless Voter Coalition work together to ensure all Americans are registered to vote and make an informed decision. Both are nonpartisan groups, which means we don't support any political party or candidate. We focus on voter education, registration, and get out the vote. How do we encourage people to vote? Here are just a few examples of what we do. Voting is important. Let us break it down for you. In the 2016 presidential election, 60.1% of those eligible to vote in the country did. In that same election, 69.5% of those eligible to vote in Wisconsin did. So, Wisconsin did better than the country as a whole, but think about those two percentages. 60.1% and 69.5%? Those aren't even C grades for one of the most important things we do as citizens. We can do better. Let's take a look at some of the history of voting.
Hello, I'm Perez Hilton. Did you know that more people in the United States check their Facebook and watch the Super Bowl than exercise their right to vote? We've got some serious issues to deal with. So how come so many of us don't even bother to vote? Is it because we don't care? Or maybe it's because we don't know our history.
So let's go back, way back. Our country's first election came after fighting for our independence, a fight that cost many lives, but it was worth it because instead of being ruled by a king, we were finally able to make our own laws.
But not everybody was allowed to participate. You see, back then, you had to own property, be white, and a man in order to actually vote. Now, things continued that way for about 80 years, until after the Civil War, when slavery was abolished and all men were given the right to vote.
Now hold up a minute. Just because we had the right to vote didn't mean we could use it. See, all these new voters wanted to participate, which threatened the people in power and their ability to stay in power. So they tried to stop us with violence and shady new requirements like literacy tests and poll taxes. We had to fight for nearly 100 years before the Voting Rights Act passed, which finally outlawed these dirty tricks.
And you weren't the only ones that had to fight for your right to vote. Somehow women got left out and had to organize and fight state by state, until we took our fight to Washington and finally got our right to vote all across the country. And even once the laws guaranteed every person the ability to vote, you still had to be 21 in most states. So when our government began drafting people under 21 to go fight in Vietnam, they realized their lives were at stake and they had no say. Young people all across the country rose up in protest and demanded that everyone over 18 should be allowed to vote.
And since then, young people's votes have been crucial in deciding lots of big elections. Like in 2008, when a black candidate had a real chance to become president, young people showed up in record numbers. And every year, we make up a larger share of the voting population, giving young people more power. but only if we participate.
So let me break it down. Together, there is so much we can decide, like whether or not we should go to war, or how we spend our money, and how we power our lives.
We can determine who has the right to marry and who has the right to choose, what possessions should be outlawed, and whether or not we should legalize.
It's up to you to make your choices and shape our future. If we sit on the sidelines, then others will make it work for them instead of us. So let's make our voices heard.
So what would it take for you to vote?
You can see how America has had a long struggle with assuring that all people vote. Our goal is to ensure everyone votes. We work to include all people. This includes our Hmong communities and our Latinx neighbors. Check out what these high school seniors say about voting.
So my dream job would be to be an automotive designer, and ultimately I just want to support my family and be able to be around my friends.
After high school, I plan to go to Wisconsin for college and play basketball there. My initial plans after college are to do something in the business world.
Oh, my plan after high school is to continue my education. My dream job would to be, I never thought about this. I mean, a circus clown would be fun, but in reality, I'd like to be a journalist.
After I graduate high school, I'm going to Winona State to study political science, and my dream job is to end up running for a political office someday.
Actually, no, I'm not registered yet to vote. I'm legally turn 18 in, I think, 7 days, and then I will plan on voting and registering.
I'm going to register to vote because I want to have my voice heard and make a difference.
I haven't registered. I'm 17, so I'll be 18 over the summer. I plan to register immediately. I'm super excited to be able to vote.
It's your privilege, it's your responsibility. It's not something that it's not like jury duty where it's something, I don't really want to go. It's the one power that you have as a citizen of this country. And I do complain a lot about America, but it is one of the greatest countries. We do a lot of great things. We're very developed, and the one thing that you have, the one power you have over this country is your ability to vote.
I try to convince people to vote by telling them that their vote is important, that every vote matters. Even if you think it doesn't, it really does. So if you have the chance, go vote.
Thinking about voting isn't on the top of my head all the time, but definitely when it's time to vote, I'm gonna educate myself and get out there so I can have my voice heard.
In my life, I don't have the time to worry about voting with my other peers because I wake up in the morning, I come to school, I'm here 8 hours throughout the day, then after school I have basketball practice.
My life really isn't different from a lot of the other busy students that we have around, right? A lot of the things that I do my schedule is just as busy as any of the other people at the school and anyone in my peer group, but you really have to, even though you're busy, you have to make time, right? Because voting is your civil duty as an American citizen to go out and express your opinion and get the people in power that you want to have there, and it's important to remember to do that, and it's important to make time.
It's super important that people vote in our democracy because your vote is your voice. Not all of us can be in Washington, D.C. making changes, so I think all of us can go out and vote. That's the power that we were given in our political system.
A true dictatorship probably wouldn't even have voting, right? The dictator makes all the decisions and the people don't have any say. That's the fundamental difference between democracy and a dictatorship. Democracy creates the system where this system where you're allowed to, where the people are able to tell what they want to happen, and this system is voting.
Voting is very important because it gives you the chance and opportunity to fight for something that you're very passionate about, that is very close to your heart and soul.
It's the basics to voting. We the people, that sets us up for our democracy. It's why America is the way it is. We broke apart from being ruled under a king, a dictatorship, And, you know, to remain that way, to remain the unique democracy and country we are, we need to, you know, listen. We are the people. We need to continue democracy and vote.
Voting is important for democracy because, like, you can't have a democracy unless you vote. And that's our part, is to be the voters.
Despite all, you know, all of like the narratives about how things are going awry, like the power of voting hasn't been diminished. All right, like if people really want something to happen, the elections still take place. They're still counted fairly, and they're still, you know, you still have just as much say in voting as you've had like throughout the entire history of this nation. So I still think that the American democracy is strong so long as the people are willing to defend it.
It can be a little disheartening to see sometimes all of these like big problems without like foreseeable solutions, and sometimes I think it can be a little discouraging because people say to themselves, well, what's the point of even going out and voting? But really, like, your vote matters. Like, you can go out and change things, like, and influence other people to vote for things that matter to you. Voting is important and it matters.
In the Constitution, it says "we the people," and that's something that everyone needs to remember and an idea that everyone needs to hold on to. We the people are the ones that are having an impact on our government. We all need to vote.
I'm going to register to vote. You should too.
I'm definitely going to vote, but I think that you should definitely consider voting.
Your voice is important. Go out and vote.
I want you to vote.
And I have high hopes for you that you will go out and vote this year.
You better vote. Come on now, vote. Do it, do it. That's all I gotta say. Just vote, man. It takes like 5 minutes. That's all I gotta say about it.
You heard about why some of your peers think voting is important. What is it that you care about? Let's get your opinion on 3 issues. What should the voting age be? 16, 18, 21. As you saw in the Rock the Vote video, the voting age was changed from 21 to 18 by people your age who argued that if they were old enough to go to the Vietnam War, they were old enough to vote. Should marijuana be legalized? This was an advisory referendum on the ballot in La Crosse County in 2018, and 63% voted yes. Nearly 88% of high school seniors supported this issue. Should teachers carry guns in schools? This is a question that could be decided by school boards. That's why voting for your school board representatives in local elections is important. 87% of high school seniors were against teachers carrying guns in schools. It's clear that these issues matter to students. Just look at the numbers. There are many issues that might matter to you: college debt, environmental impact, immigration, minimum wage, gun control, voter rights, and healthcare. In 2020, Pew Research Center estimates millennials and Gen Z combined will make up 37% of the electorate, or people that are eligible to vote. Your generation could have a big impact in the next election, if you vote. There are 3 steps to making your voice heard: register, commit, vote. Let's start with registering. If you are 18 and have a driver's license, permit, or Wisconsin state ID, you can go to this website and register in 5 minutes. Click the tab Register to vote and follow the directions. When the election gets closer, come back to this website to find out where you vote, what will be on the ballot, and how to request an absentee ballot. If you are not yet 18 or do not have a Wisconsin driver's license, permit, or state ID, you can print the registration form from this website and mail it to your municipal clerk with a proof of residence. Your voice matters. Make your vote count.